Well, hello again and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my gorgeous, wonderful, intelligent, very hard-working Disney Trips with Family loving wife and co-host, Michelle.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
So good to have you with us. We are recording this episode on Sunday, October 9th, 2022. Well, a portion of it we recorded yesterday on October 8th, but for all, intents and purposes, we are recording this on October 9th, 2022, and that's when this episode is dropping.
So it'll be up to date.
It will be as up to date as we ever are in life in general. So just take that with a grain of salt. But we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
we would love for you to sign up for our newsletter.
Please sign up for the newsletter. Just a great way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world.
Yes, and if you are a subscriber, and last week we sent out the newsletter with a link to the 30-page Disney Cruise booklet, and the link didn't work. That was an error. I apologize. That's why you all got the newsletter twice, one with the corrected link. Hopefully it is working now, but if not, just email us so we can get you that information.
For sure. And thanks to Ryan who emailed us with pointing that out, and we sent a copy off to him, and then Michelle revised the newsletter. So it happens, sometimes you think a link is going to work and it doesn't. You copy and paste and you miss something on it.
I've done it. Copy and paste twice, but
whatever. I've done it. Michelle's now done it. So it's just part of doing this thing on a weekly basis. So anyway, still, the newsletter is a great way to get lots of information when we can get it correct for both of us. But it is a great way to do that. Also, we love hearing from you on social media. We're on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. If you are on Facebook, come on over and join us for some good, positive Disney energy fun on our Hyperion Adventures Facebook group.
Right. If you're part of that Facebook group, tell a friend.
Tell a friend, but we just love that you are part of that group because we are having a lot of fun with that group. Also, we are on YouTube. If you want to find us there, just do a quick search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Hit subscribe. You'll know whenever we have a new video. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we love hearing from you, like we did with Ryan this week, giving us very vital information. But if you have any questions about anything, or if there's anything we can help you with, please let us know.
Yeah, it's just a great way to be in contact, even if you just want to say hi.
True.
For whatever reason you want to email us, that is a great way to do so. Now, if you would like to support the show and get a little swag out of it at the same time, well, there's a couple great ways to do that. The first and probably the easiest is to go to our Spreadshirt shop. All you got to do is go to spreadshirt.com and do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast. And voila, what will come about before you is all our different logos on various different gear and lots of different colors, sizes. And we get a little bit of a portion of that to kind of help support the costs that are behind putting this show out on a weekly basis.
Right. We appreciate those of you who have already made purchases.
Yes, thank you so much. Another people we appreciate are our Patreon members. If you'd like to become a Patreon member of this show, you'd also get some swag that way. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Find the tier that's right for you. We have tiers starting as low as $2 per month. And we appreciate all of you who have already joined in on this fun since we started this Patreon page.
Yes, we truly appreciate it. And you'll be getting an email from us this week inviting you to participate in an upcoming episode.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. How fun is that? You'll want to be a part of that if you're not a Patreon member yet. So get involved and find out what Michelle's got.
Yeah.
Ready for you to take part in the upcoming weeks. So now, before we get into this week's show, we always like to look back at the week that was because, there can be some tough moments in the week, but this is the show of positivity. We like to point out those little gems, those little wonderful positive moments that happened in each week. And we call it My Favorite Thing from This Week. And when we do this, well, we always start with Michelle because she's wonderful, awesome, all things great in the world. You know she has the best lists. You're about to hear she does the best research. And she almost always has the best My Favorite Thing from This Week. So, Michelle, what was your favorite thing from this week?
Another one of those weeks that there were a lot to choose from. So it kind of made it tough to narrow down. But I think I'm going to narrow it down to being able to visit again 50% of the Conversations team duo there this week and get to say hi. It's always nice to reconnect with friends.
Yes. And there may be a little piece coming up here in a second about that as well from one of the members of the Conversations podcast as their favorite thing from this week. So yeah, that was great. We did see Charles this week.
Yeah.
And it's always great to catch up with
both
of them
his son.
Sure. Yeah. We got to meet his son for the first time.
Yeah.
So that was great as well. I love that very much. As for my favorite thing from this week, well, it's really up in the air as of today. But my favorite thing from this week is still the Padres getting into the playoffs. They clinched the playoff spot this week. They've been playing the last couple nights against the Mets. We have a little wager going on with Frank Cardillo, who you just heard a couple of weeks ago on the show from, of course, Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. He's a big Mets fan. Our bet going on right now is if the Padres win, then he's sending New York bagels our way. And if the Mets win, we are sending some Sonny's barbecue sauce his way from out here in Florida. Now, by the time you hear this thing, it's probably already been decided, so you'll know which way the bet's going. But I don't even care. I'm just happy the Padres made the playoffs. Right. Win, lose, whatever. It's great. It's exciting. I'm just so happy for them. And it just makes me happy to finally see the Padres in the postseason. Look, we're from San Diego. Yes. We're used to sports teams disappointing us all the time. So if something happens either this week or next week or on down the line for the Padres, it will not be a shock. I'm just, and I'm not saying that I'm just happy they got there. Like I don't want them to win a championship or like I don't care if they win a championship. Of course I want them to win a championship. Right. Of course I care. But at the same point, I'm happy they're there,
Right. It's great.
Baby steps.
Yes. And it's great for the city and, just to see kind of like the underdog coming back. And I see you're wearing your Friars shirt.
Because the game is coming on here in a few hours. Yeah. Too late for me, unfortunately. I will be up to watch it, but we'll see what happens. The deciding game 3 between the Padres and the Mets. And like I said, as you're listening to this, you probably already know what happened. So feel free to, give me condolences or give Frank condolences one way or the other, depending on what happens. So now we did get some My Favorite Things from this week from a couple of our listeners. A couple of them are actually from our Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group. Right. First was Tony the Disney Dad, who we actually are going to be seeing. I think it's this week, right? I think we might be connecting with him this week out at the Walt Disney World Resort. But he said, best thing from this week was the awesome adult trip we took with friends. I'm not thankful for a hurricane. Many of us in Florida aren't either. Right. But it allowed us to relax in the resort for 2 days. Then we celebrated Epcot's 40th. That's so cool. And he posted some cool pictures there of their time at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun.
Definitely. Thank you, Tony. And we are looking forward to seeing you this week. Also from Sue in the UK, she said, great show last week, guys. It's always my go-to show every Sunday evening. Can't wait for this week's. My favorite thing of the week, after a busy few months, I now think I have finally wrapped up all our plans for our upcoming holiday trip to Walt Disney World. 35 days to go until we arrive at All-Star Movies from the UK for 14 days. Wow, what a trip. That's great. Fun and food and drink. Lots planned, including Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, Seats and Treats Dessert Party, Keys to the Kingdom Tour. I'm so happy you're doing that because awesome. That is a great tour. It is. And Candlelight Processional Dining Package, along with reservations at Space 220, Steakhouse 71, Oga's, Wolfgang Puck's, amongst others. We had a lovely surprise as well as our friends Julie and Ian have gifted us a night at the Riviera. Wow. We are so excited and thankful about that as well. Riviera is great, yes. Sue. If you can get up to Topolino's, even if you just go to the lounge, take advantage of that because Topolino's is excellent there.
Right. Yeah, it is great. And that sounds like a spectacular trip. Glad you're going to be there long enough to really participate in a lot of
Right.
fun
That's
things.
a lot of
Those
great
are
stuff there.
Great things.
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's like a primo itinerary
Right.
there.
Yep, for sure. That sounds like a lot of things that we would love to do. I'm so
Yes.
glad that you're going to get to take advantage of those, Sue. She also said, many thanks to you both, Tom and Michelle, for all the information, updates, and great positive energy about all things Disney over the past year that have given me so many ideas to plan. Thank you. And she also added in there that this is my 60th birthday trip, and I'm going with my daughter, who lives hundreds of miles away from me, so I don't get to see her very often. And she posted a picture. She said, very special trip.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
I remember when she first let us know about that trip and that, what it was about and everything. And now it's only a few weeks away.
Yeah, it's coming up. It'll be here
Yeah.
before you know it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
So that's exciting.
Very cool.
Finally, we received this from Pat in Florida, a.k.a. Pat and Charles. Pat of Pat and Charles from the Conversation Star Wars podcast, who you've heard in the show possibly in the past. He said, my favorite thing of the week was experience the beauty and generosity of friends truly becoming family and driving a 350-mile round trip to our aid, overwhelming us with support, food, and essentials like Star Wars figures. A gesture that was both unexpected and profoundly appreciated by a couple of chuckleheads and their gracious family. Well, I don't know who did that, but that's awfully nice of those people to do that for Pat and Charles.
I'm just glad Pat and Charles are getting some, well-deserved and needed attention during this tough time.
Yeah,
So.
they're never seeking attention.
I know.
No, yeah, we did on Tuesday. We traveled. We this was all Michelle's idea. We went to Costco and loaded up the car full of some supplies, and we even loaded up some gas cans with some gas for them because things are hard to come by over where Pat and Charles live over on the western part of the state, and so. We, knowing that they're great friends and yes, family in many ways to us, we wanted to help them out. And so we drove across country and brought them some stuff. Cross country, cross state. It was across the country on the peninsula.
Well, you were the one that had to do all the driving. So
Felt cross country that day.
Yeah, I bet. But yeah, it was no big deal. I mean, it's what people do. It's what you do.
Friends do, and they would have done the same for us.
Right,
so
right.
It's not a big, not a big thing for us, but we're very happy that we could have helped them.
Yeah, like I said, the fun part was getting together and seeing.
Yeah, only
Charles
if we could have
there.
seen Pat as well. But,
I know.
And their families. We did see Charles' son, but we didn't get to see his wife and Pat's wife and
I know
and their daughter and everything.
Our
So,
original plan was
next
to
time.
make 2 stops, but since they made it easy for us to only do 1.
Just dump it on Charles.
I know, just dump it on Charles, and he had to divvy up everything.
Yeah. Hopefully it was a fair swap, or a fair trade. Anyway, well, he digressed.
Yes.
No, it was good. It was good, and we were happy to do that. So thanks to you guys. We love you guys.
Yeah.
So we're happy to help in any way possible. So enough about that. Let's get on to this week's show. We have lots of stuff for you this week, including we now know where and when Disney's 100th birthday celebration will be kicking off in the parks. And as of this week, there's another guest favorite experience that's returned to the happiest place on earth. We'll tell you all about that. And get ready to get hungry because there are some delicious new offerings coming to a couple of Walt Disney World Resort dining locations. I'm going to explain a few of those to you here. But enough about all that. Let's go ahead and get to our main topic of the week. Yes, we're coming up quickly on the holiday season, and we all know that is a very, very popular time. One, of course, to get together with your family, especially maybe your larger family,
Right.
But also, hey, there are vacation times involved with that a lot of times. Maybe you're going to a Disney park, whether for Thanksgiving or for Christmas, or for maybe you're just planning way ahead and getting ready for the summer. Well, we thought that this might be a great time if you're getting together with a group, say about, a larger family, anyone from around 5 or more, that this might be a good time to, discuss some possibilities of how you can do your Disney vacation a little bit better. So that means we have tips. And when we have tips, well, of course, we're going to go to the person who has the very best tips. So Michelle is going to share her tips on how you might enjoy your Disney vacation with a larger family just a little bit better. Michelle, please take it away.
That's so funny. I love how you did that intro, associating it with tips and me. That's funny.
Because it's appropriate and correct. And everybody should be listening now because we all know Michelle has the very best tips.
Well, let's hope this is a helpful episode because, like Tom said, Disney can be a great place to get together, whether it's with your family, extended family, or large group of friends or whatever. And
family can be what you make of it.
Right.
It could be your actual legitimate blood family or whatever, or it could be just, your good friends that you consider family.
Exactly. Well said. So, just want to kind of, and I love how you associated tips in me and this, and hopefully this will be a beneficial
Well, we know it will be because, we all know Michelle has the best tips. So this is going to be outstanding.
So I just kind of want to go through just some things to consider and maybe approaches to how to, actually carry out planning for a larger group of people to go on vacation together. So, the first thing that comes into mind is like, where you're going to stay, right? And this is geared towards staying at a Disney property. So whether it's, Walt Disney World Resorts or Disneyland Resorts or Disney Cruise Line, we'll touch on all of them. But, just kind of, what to consider in terms of, do you do a single room and just put a bunch of people in, depending on how big that crowd is? Or do you look at having multiple rooms?
I guess it depends on how close you are with your family. If you want to squeeze a group of 5 or more into one of those all-star movies or all-star resort rooms, we are pretty good friends or pretty good tight with your family to fit in one of those.
That's true. But some things that you might want to take into consideration, first of all, is cost. Like how much are you wanting to spend on this? A Disney vacation can be expensive. So, maybe looking at how could we do a single room for more people and still make it, a little bit more affordable? Or do we say, space is more critical and we look at 2 rooms or more rooms? But that's one thing to look at, obviously, is cost.
Always should be. Cost should be one of the first. What is your budget? Have a budget
Right.
going in and kind of have an idea of what you're looking for. And then you can kind of, fit things within that. And that includes everything. That should include all the stuff that Michelle's going to talk about. I won't get into it all here, but everything you're going to talk about here, I'm sure, especially when you have a large group, a large family, there's going to be some significant cost associated with it. So you want to know where and you want to splurge and where you want to cut back a little bit.
Right. And Tom's being very generous with not to go over some of the things. I've shared with him the PowerPoint this time, which is one of the rarities when we're preparing for an episode. But so he kind of has a little hint of some of the topics.
Actually, I don't. I haven't looked through it. I'm going through as we go. So.
Okay. The next thing to consider in terms of a single room, and again, when I'm talking single room, basically, 5 people in general, but there are things I'm going to talk about that are rooms that can accommodate more.
Remember, there are rooms that accommodate fewer than 5 people. So make sure you know what room you're getting. If you might see a great price on a room, make sure you know what it says it will sleep.
Right.
Because you'd hate to have 5 people into a room that maybe barely fits 3.
True. The good thing is if you're making your reservation through the Disney website, when you put how many adults and children, it structures what the selection you get based on that. So that's helpful too. The next thing you want to consider is restrooms. Like how many really do you need for the number of people? And you all know your own lifestyles or whatever. But that's something that
Just being nice is like, how much your husband uses the restroom, how long he's in there.
Right. And so, and obviously there's different layouts of some of the resorts. Some have split bathrooms, and things like that. But you do want to consider how many restrooms you think you might need, or, to be comfortable with, The other thing is meals. Like, are you planning to have meals in the room? If it's just going to be, some coffee in the morning, maybe some cereal for the kids, that might be fine. But are you planning to do more eating, whether it's, in terms of bringing food in that you want to try to semi-prepare, using a microwave maybe, or are you still thinking of considering having meals like with quick service? But space is kind of be limited with a single room in terms of tables and things like that for the most part. So that's something else to think about is where you're going to be eating.
Right. And everybody looks at the parks differently. Some people, they want to eat all their meals at the parks or in the resorts or whatever. They don't even think about it, except for maybe bringing some snacks into the room.
Right.
They're not really looking there. Others maybe, like you said, trying to cut some costs or at least curb them a little bit by maybe, doing some breakfast and, maybe some lunches or maybe some dinners within the room. That's what we do a lot.
Yeah.
So it is good to kind of have an idea of what you have to work with in those rooms.
Exactly. So the other thing to consider is when you're going to be staying in a single room and you're going to have multiple people, most likely somebody's going to need to sleep on the sofa couch. So that's got to be something that you have to determine at the beginning. Is there somebody in your party, at least one, willing to sleep on a sofa couch?
Yeah.
So.
And I found most of the Disney ones to be better than some of the other ones. They don't have that big bar in the middle of them, from the old days that you would get when you wake up and your back is completely sore. But I mean, they're still not the most comfortable beds you're going to sleep on.
Right.
So if you do have some issues with something like that, it is good to know if you have some back issues or some other joint tenderness or whatever.
Sure.
It is important to know that going in, because you're going to be walking a lot in the parks as it is. You don't want to add to that fatigue by having a tough time sleeping at night.
Right. Not to mention that that your sleeping quarters is going to be also what people need to sit on sometime during the day. So is it something that you feel like, okay, you're willing to wait till everybody goes to bed before you set up your bed, and the same thing in the morning, are you going to feel like you're rushed to get out of bed and get your bed made up because that's the couch? So just something to think about.
And generally if you have the kids on the fold-out couch, that's probably the best, because their little bodies can rebound from that. It's like it doesn't even bother them. Those of us that are maybe have a few more, a little bit more miles on the engine, let's just say, maybe we have a little tougher time of sleeping on that couch, fold-out couch. So,
good point. Good point, sweetie. And then the last thing to really consider in terms of single room versus multi-rooms is just the duration, and how long you're willing to feel comfortable with lack of privacy, because everybody's kind of in the same living area for, all the time that you're not in the park. So those are just some things to consider. And now we'll go through kind of like what rooms have what.
I think also another one thing to consider is duration that you'll spend in the room. Because if you're a family that likes to go rope drop to fireworks, basically you're just coming back to the room to go to sleep and get out the next morning and go to the parks. However, if you like to spend a little time more at the resort, enjoy it, you may be spending a little bit more time in your room. So, the room may be a little bit more important to you.
Sure. That's a really good point. Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
All right. So let's talk about single rooms that can accommodate more than 4 people. All right. And we'll start with value resorts. So the All-Star Music and the All-Star Music and the Art of Animation have family suites. And if you go back several episodes ago, we talked about specifically value resorts and kind of went into a lot more detail of what they have. But in general, they can accommodate up to 6 adults if you get the suites. And everything I'm going to say for the most part is going to be adults. But obviously you can put kids there, but anyway, so they can.
I mean, if you must.
Right. Now, the one good thing about these resorts, the value resorts, is that they actually have 2 full bathrooms. So even though you're putting more people in, they have 2 full bathrooms. They do have come with mini fridge microwave and coffee maker. So not enough to really prepare a meal, but maybe heating some things up, or like we said, having cereal and things like that.
Taking some leftovers back from your meals at the parks or whatever it may be.
Right. Now, in the category of the moderate resort hotels, the Caribbean Beach and Port Orleans Riverside, they have some rooms that can fit 4 adults and a child. So they have those pull down beds for, kids' bed. They don't have 2 bathrooms, but they have a split bathroom. So you could have somebody who is either, showering or using the toilet versus somebody who's washing their hands, brushing their teeth, getting ready outside. So
makeup, whatever it may be.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you do hair.
Right. You do have that. Now keep in mind in these rooms in the Caribbean and Port Orleans, Riverside, their table, it's a small table with 2 chairs. So it's not like, even if you're going to bring in quick service to eat, people are going to be sitting on the beds.
You're not bringing the Thanksgiving family meal into one of them. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Correct. So, similarly, in a moderate resort, the Coronado, they have some suites. They have like 1-bedroom suites. They have a presidential suite, the executive suite. In general, those are fitting 6 to 8 adults, and those do have larger tables, and like much larger. They can, it's a regular table with chairs. Again, they don't have real cooking facilities, but they do have more space. They have, sitting areas versus a sleeping area, things like that. So, but I think people think of as the most convenient in the moderate resorts, if you're a larger family, is the Fort Wilderness cabins.
No question.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorites for sure.
Right. So those sleep up to 6, but of course you're talking bunk beds for adults. If you were to say 6 adults, there's people going to be on a fold-out couch and people going to be on bunk beds.
I've slept on those bunk beds. They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
I mean, the one benefit there is they're the one of the moderate resorts that do have a full kitchen, and dishwasher and a lot of space.
And a barbecue grill, too.
Right. Yeah, there you could actually cook full-on meals if you want, or you have the space there's an indoor table that fits about 5 to 6 people, depending on what your mix of adults and kids are. But they also have the outdoor patio that has a very large picnic table, and as you mentioned, a grill. We've hosted family out there and have had quite a few people for a meal, not necessarily to sleep over, The drawback is there's 1 bathroom. It's not a split bathroom. There is 1 bathroom. So if you are six adults, just keep in mind you have 1 bathroom.
Someone's brushing their teeth in the kitchen sink while someone's taking a shower. I still think, despite the single bathroom, that is the best option, depending on what you can afford price-wise, because I feel like you get the value out of this while getting the size of like a 1-bedroom suite at many places that you'll get. Sure. And it's probably a good $100 to $200 less a night, you know, and no guarantees on that, but between the space inside and outside you get a full living room and kitchen. And yes, you have a bedroom that's separated, so you can get some privacy, because that's another thing is like when you're going to be with your family so much, to be stuck in a hotel room. I mean, yes, you love each other very much, but when you're around each other all day, sometimes it's nice to have a door to shut just for a little bit to get a little bit of privacy, and so that's why, some of these spaces are very good in that regard. And I love the Fort Wilderness cabins for that.
For sure.
For all those reasons.
Definitely. And like you're saying, there's also just, if you have sets of people who want to watch different things on TV, there you have a TV in the bedroom and TV in the living room, and that's the same thing with some of these 1 bedrooms and, things like that. Next, moving on to the deluxe resorts. And so,
we're getting pricey.
So here we're talking about the Polynesian Village, Grand Floridian, Yacht and Beach Clubs, Contemporary, Boardwalk. Those all can sleep 5 adults, actually. Now, they do have a couch also, but it's more kind of like what you see on the cruise, that it's not just the fold out for a single person. It's just kind of, it's hard to explain, but it's more just for like one person.
Right. Do your research. Know what you're getting into before you book one of those rooms. If
Right.
You're going to be one of the people who's sleeping on the couch.
And now, in pretty much all the deluxe resorts, they do also have specialty rooms. They have some like 1 or 2 bedroom places in those resorts that can sleep more people, maybe up to like 8 people. I think the 1 bedrooms typically are 6 and 2 bedrooms are 8. But that's an option for you if you want to still stay into a 1 bedroom, but, maybe be in a closer proximity to the parks and things like that. That's one way to do it.
And you may listen to that and you think, when am I ever afford to get into a 2 bedroom at one of these deluxe resorts? And yes, they're going to be quite pricey,
Right.
almost certainly. Especially if you're looking to get a group of like 8 in there or something like this into a 2 bedroom or whatever.
Right.
You got to assume that there's going to be, it's not just, the 2 adults and 6 kids.
Right.
There's probably some other adults there. Maybe you can work it out where you split the cost a
Sure.
little bit and suddenly it doesn't look as bad to you. It's maybe a little bit more expensive
Right.
than a standard resort room.
Right.
But it looks a little more reasonable when you split it between, 2 couples, 2 families,
Sure.
whatever it may be.
Right. And keep in mind, in these deluxe resorts, without upgrading just the regular standard rooms, you can fit 5 adults. And maybe money isn't as much of an issue, and that's how you want to kind of be, again, close to the parks and easy transportation and things like that.
And again, what is value to you? Is the room the value to you? Are you going, like I said, rope drop to fireworks? Then, the room maybe not be, splurging on
Right.
an important room may not be of value to you. But if you think you and your family are going to spend some good quality time there in the room, maybe that's the time to, splurge a little more and have this incredible room at one of these
Right.
fantastic resorts, like
Right.
like a 1 bedroom or a 2 bedroom.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, we're not talking vacation clubs. So these 1 and 2 bedrooms are in the hotel areas. They don't have they don't have cooking facilities. So, again, they have a mini fridge. Some come with microwaves, but they don't have cooking facilities in the regular hotel rooms. Hopping over to the West Coast at Disneyland, just so you'll know about that, in the 3 Disney resorts, hotels, their regular rooms will fit 5 adults. So if you're a family of 5, even 5 adults, you can get those rooms. But they do have also some suites that can, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom suites that can fit, between 6 and 12 guests, depending on how many rooms you get. Again, sans cooking facilities.
And remember, we are just talking about Disney resorts here. There are options for you outside
Sure.
of Disney resorts.
Right.
If, that's where you want to go. Might save you a little money. You might find some big rooms out there, But we're just talking today just if you want to stay in that kind of Disney bubble. for a
Right,
second,
right. Exactly. Switching over to the high seas is on Disney Cruise Line. Now, here, there's no sneaking anybody in because everybody has to have like a passport, a picture, and things like that. So the only single cabins that they have that will hold that many people are they start either at the deluxe family cabin, so they're a little bit larger and they can handle 5, or you go into the suites, which are in concierge, and they have 1 and 2 bedroom suites there. And depending on the ship, the newer ships have different layouts than the older ships. But generally speaking, again, 5 to 7 guests, not a lot of guests. Even, the Disney Wish that has the towers and things like that, their sleeping quarters are still more minimal. So that's one that if, depending on your party size, if you're more than, say 7 people, you have to look at multiple cabins.
Right. The bottom line is, if you if you're not looking to really spend on your Disney cruise, because those concierge
Right.
1 bedroom and 2 bedroom, they're not cheap. They are very expensive. The deluxe family cabins, they do have some now
Right.
that are inside, and they have some ocean view ones within the Wish right now. So you do have those options. But other than that, yeah, you're almost, unless you're really going crazy. I mean, you can. It's almost better to look at getting a couple cabins, maybe connecting cabins even. But again, your money, what's valuable to you?
Yeah, you may want to
do what you want.
Right. We've done concierge, you know, and so
we've spent a lot on
right.
concierge.
There are times that we want to go budget, and there are times that we want to splurge. And so just kind of laying out there all the different types of options that you could have.
And you do get a lot of perks with concierge
Yeah.
with those 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom suites. You do
Right.
get a lot of perks that are involved with that. So it is up to you to find out. And it may be a bucket list
Right.
thing that you want to check off at some point, to try doing a Disney cruise in a 1 bedroom suite, in a
Right.
2 bedroom suite, concierge in a royal suite,
Right.
something along
Right.
those lines.
And keep in mind those again have a little more space to them. They have, the multiple TVs, so you're not all watching the same thing. Just things to consider.
By the way, they also have a lot of perks like, dining room food. That's just served if you're in a 1 bedroom or more. That gets served to you in your room if you so desire.
Right,
You don't need to go to the dining rooms. Now, I don't know why board like the Disney Wish, you wouldn't want to go to the world of Arendelle, the world of Marvel, or all that, because, I'm going to be there. But we have also done it where we have had the food delivered to the room, have it all set up just like the dining room, and it is really nice.
Yeah. We've done that when we've had other families. But anyway, we digress.
Even in royal suites, you can get Palo
Right.
delivered to your room.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the kind of the last way to consider getting a single room for a larger family party is with DVC villas. And so, this is in Florida and California. They all kind of, what I'm going to talk about, has the same kind of features. And so we're talking here about 1, 2, or 3 bedroom villas. The studios, again, they don't sleep 5.
No.
So it's 1 and up. But now
They don't sleep 5. Wink, wink.
yeah, sleeping bags and stuff. Yeah. So what they do give you, though, is, again, they give you a full kitchen. So if you want to have more time to have, whether it's cooking meals or just the larger tables where everybody can sit together for a meal, they have the multiple, between the bedroom and the sitting area. So you have more space, more TVs. They also have a washer and dryer there. They all have a whirlpool type bathtub, so that's kind of a nice thing.
Some of them with views right out, like through windows and
Yeah.
everything out at like Bay Lake or whatever.
Right,
So talking
exactly.
about, obviously, Bay Lake Towers there, but
That's a good point.
yeah.
Yeah. And then on up, like even the 3 bedrooms, a lot of the 3 bedrooms, depending on the layout in the resort, may be on multiple levels. They might have a game room. We talked about the Cascade Cabins, which is a 2 bedroom, but they had a actual hot tub outside, so there's a lot more features that the villas can provide you. But again, they can hold more people.
Right. Also the bungalows, but again, you're spending a lot on those, just no going in. But
Yeah.
there are ways to curb those costs a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, yeah, you can always rent DVC points from those that have a lot of them that maybe aren't going to be using up their allotment during the year, and they're trying to get a little bit of their money back that they spent on it. So they'll put them out there to be rented. So if you're looking to do one of these, sometimes you can get these. If you were to try and purchase these rooms at regular rack rate or whatever it is out there, you can get them sometimes as much as like 50% off of the price, by renting DVC points. Now you're not you're a little bit out of control of it because you have somebody that has to kind of book it for you and everything. There are some details that involved with that, but if you're looking to try and get in one of these rooms, the 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, the cabins, the bungalows, whatever it may be. That is a way that you may want to look into to get it done at a somewhat discounted rate. I'm not going to say it's not going to still be expensive, but it may be a lot less than if you were to just try and go on the Disney website and try and book it yourself.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, obviously we know Disney vacations are expensive, and it depends on what you want to do. If it's a super special occasion that you are wanting to splurge, these are some options to you. But like Tom said, there are still ways to even curb some of those costs, even if you are knowing that you're going to be spending a lot.
For sure.
Now, so let's say you've gone through all those considerations. You're like, you know what? I think we need more than one room, and again, that's all depending on size. Obviously if you have 10, 15 people, you're going to look at multiple rooms anyways, but
wink, wink.
Yeah. So here's some of the things to consider with getting multiple rooms is, first of all, you do need to make separate room reservations. So you'd need a different adult for each room to be the main person on the reservation. But what you might want to consider is looking at getting adjoining rooms, or on the Disney Cruise Line, adjoining cabins.
Yeah, we've done that a couple of times, like when we've cruised with my mother, and she'll have her room, we'll have our room. When we wanted kind of that privacy during the day or during the evening, we'll close off that door and we have our own space. But then come the evening, right before dinner, maybe we're sharing a cocktail or whatever, a door comes open and we'll go back and forth the cabins. You can even, on a lot of these rooms that have balconies that are adjoining, you can also, and even they don't necessarily need to be adjoining, but you can talk with the crew members and see about opening. There's a panel on a lot of the balconies that can kind of slide to the side, and you can kind of widen that balcony so you can share that balcony between a couple different parties as well.
Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. The other thing to consider is, in doing your research in this, is sometimes getting 2 separate rooms is less expensive than getting a larger room or getting a suite kind of deal.
Definitely do your homework on that. Take notes. Look at both possibilities when you're doing this. That way you kind of have it broken down, and then you can decide, is the monetary difference better to have 2 rooms, or, we'd like to have a larger room. We're going to splurge a little bit more. It's not that much more expensive to go into this ornate larger rooms.
Right.
What is right for you.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, again, all depending on your family size or who's together, family and friends, is, sometimes it might be fun doing that and having, groups join together, like during meal times, if you're going to have it in your room. If you have 2 smaller rooms, but have the kids in one and the adults in another, or whatever. I mean, it can work to your advantage sometimes. And like I said, it may be cheaper than getting a suite.
For sure. A lot of times it will be.
Right.
But again, that's not always true. Not always true. So do your homework, take your notes, and decide what's right for you.
Right. Exactly. So the next thing to consider is eating, right? So dining reservations. It's a little bit easier now on the My Disney Experience app to even put larger size parties for reservations, but sometimes it's not possible, or you're not finding a table size for your whole party. You may need to break it up into 2, 3 or more reservations, again depending on how many people you have going to the meal together. But what you could do is, if you do that, have it like separate dining reservations for around the same time, even within a few minutes of each other. Then once you get to the restaurant, and it's probably best to do it a little in advance of when your reservation is actually coming up, is to talk to the check-in person there and let them know what you're doing, so that they can try to help plan and keep you together or in the same proximity as much as possible.
Yeah. And this even works with some of the more popular dining establishments, restaurants, whatever. But when you're going to do that, if you're going to look to, you're going to have a tough time for, let's just say, Space 220 or whatever, trying to get in there with a big group, without trying to talk with Disney about it over the phone or whatever. If you're just going to go through either the Walt Disney World website or the My Disney Experience app. probably not that easy for you. However, you may be able to do that where you kind of split some tables, try and get a dining time that are pretty close, and see if you can merge it when you get there. But you're going to have to get a few people involved when those dining reservations become available to see if you can jump on it. You're going to have to kind of coordinate that as a team. It's a little tricky, but it might be able to be done for you.
Yeah. And keep in mind, it might not. You know, so
don't give up.
Right. Exactly.
Also, travel agents are very helpful.
Yes, and that was going to be something I was going to talk about. So you added a tip early on. Good deal. But the other thing to consider too is you may want to look more at buffets, because then you have a little bit more ability a lot of times to get everybody together, even the buffets where you do make reservations. But, you know, they tend to be, you know, like if you think of the Germany Pavilion restaurant, it just kind of shouts letting everybody sit together.
Yeah, so. True. So it's just kind of a family style meal.
Yeah. So, and obviously, like Tom mentioned, you can call and try to coordinate your dining reservations on the phone, especially for the ones that are not that always like the things that you have to wake up early in the morning to try to do at 60 days. But, you know, if you have a larger party, you might want to really coordinate that through Disney, through a person alive.
Yeah, sometimes it's a lot easier to get one of those things done when you're actually talking to a live person, as opposed to trying to do it through, you know, a computer system, especially a Disney computer system.
So then I just have a couple other little miscellaneous kind of things to talk about. Obviously, if you're having a very unique or special celebration, so let's say a wedding or honeymoon or engagement party or something like that, obviously utilize your resources with Disney through their Disney Fairy Tales wedding and honeymoon services. They will walk you through everything. They will help with securing rooms and things like that. So
and don't think you need to be there when, you know, in arriving in Cinderella's you know, carriage, you know, at the wedding pavilion. If you want to do that, great. You know, that's awesome. They will find weddings that can fit you in various different ways throughout the resort at various different locations, and it may be more within your budget.
Right. Now, let's say you also that, you know, you do want a big splurge on maybe one specific party, and we're not talking wedding or something like that. There's what's called the Disney Meetings and Events team. And you can find them on their website, and they coordinate for all their resort locations, you know, so even Alani and Disneyland, Walt Disney World, etc. But they can really put together, like, the sky's the limit in terms of what kind of, if you want to have a party.
Yeah, if you got money, they'll find a space for you.
Right. So I mean, it's not necessarily focusing on how many people as much as how much you're willing to spend. But they can coordinate, you know, whether it's just more a private, intimate party, or if you want something really elaborate, really unique, where you have characters there and specialty chefs,
private
things
rooms,
like that.
Also,
They can really help coordinate through that. And you might be looking to have something really super special where you want to spend a bunch of money but have such a memorable event.
Somebody's 50th wedding anniversary or something, or a big birthday celebration, or somebody's retiring, or who knows, whatever you want to do. A quinceañera.
Right.
Whatever.
Exactly.
They can help you out with those kind of things.
Very true. Very true. And as Tom mentioned before, another resource for you obviously is working through a travel agent to help you with booking for multiple, you know, family and friends.
Yeah. Use them. They don't cost you a cent more. They don't charge you. They get paid from Disney to book these things. They make a commission. The commission comes straight from Disney, not out of your pocket. So take advantage of using a travel agent. Don't be afraid. Don't think that if I use a travel agent, I'm going to be spending more. No. As a matter of fact, there's a good likelihood you may be spending less by using a travel agent.
Exactly. I mean, you do want to look to make sure you're using an authorized Disney travel agent, because they're the ones that have the most up-to-date information and, have been trained to know what Disney has to offer.
Exactly. And they should say so right on their website, or if you call them and talk with them, they should have that there easily accessible for you.
Right. So,
and we know a few. If you want to let us contact us, we can put you in touch with a couple people that we know.
Right. So lastly, you just want to, in terms of crossing all the T's, dotting the I's, is, I think we all know now that you need to set park reservations, but some of the things to take into consideration is if you're going to have a meal at a certain time of day in a park, does everybody have that park reservation?
Right.
If you're going to do park hoppers, if you're making a late lunch reservation, say at 1:30, but some of your guests aren't going to be in that park, they won't be able to be entered until 2:00. Then you need to take that into consideration. So just make sure you're checking all those little details.
And also remember that, when you're adding more people onto trying to get from one place to another, you can also add more time into trying to get from one place to another. So also put that into the equation too, if you're going to have a reservation that you may miss for some reason.
Exactly. And lastly is making sure you're linking all your family and friends on the app. That's going to really help you coordinate things so much easier when you have a large family or group of friends or whatever. Anyways, that's my listing of things to consider when you're traveling with a larger group and want to have a wonderful time, how to help think about things to research and plan. But obviously, if you have any questions, you can shoot them off to us. We'd love to try to help you out.
Yeah, as we know, Michelle's tips are always the best tips, and she has even more that she hasn't even shared here. So she'd be happy to help you with them. But the bottom line is, look, and we've discussed this many times through here, when you're bringing a large family, a large group along, there are things that you're going to want to spend on and things you're not, and what is, we've said it so many times, people will look at stuff and say, how could you spend money on that? That's silly. How could you spend money on this? Why wouldn't you spend money on this? It's what's right for you. Don't let anybody feel uncomfortable if you want to splurge on a room or splurge on a dinner or splurge on a big party or whatever. Think about it, weigh out your options, find out what's best for you and do it and just enjoy it. That's what this is all about, and that's great. So, but just do your homework. Like Michelle said, and we've mentioned many, many times over, do your homework, look into your options, find out what works best for you, find out about these rooms, find out about these restaurants, find out about whatever it is that you want to do and figure out pricing and everything else. Because believe me, in the long run, when you go to a place, it seems like it should be easy to go to Walt Disney World, it can be easy,
right?
But you may not have the optimal time if you just do a little bit of legwork ahead of time.
Exactly.
So definitely do that, and you'll have a wonderful, wonderful large Disney family vacation. There you have it. If you're looking to go to Disney with your family coming up, a large family, relatively speaking, those are some great ideas, tips from Michelle. So thank you, sweetheart, for that wonderful, wonderful research piece that you did there.
Thank you. And you made some really great points, too, along the way. And hopefully this all can help.
Just riding your coattails. Let's go ahead and get to our Disney stories of the week, because maybe some of these will be some great things you might want to do with your family on some of these Disney vacations. I'm going to start with, we now know where and when Disney's 100th birthday celebration will be kicking off in the parks. This from the Disney Parks blog. They said, we are pleased to share that at Disneyland Resort, the Disney 100 anniversary celebration will officially kick off on January 27th, 2023, with special limited time offerings taking place throughout the resort all year long. So there you go. You have a date for if you're looking to celebrate the Walt Disney Company's 100th birthday. Where and when? It's going to be at Disneyland starting on January 27th.
It makes sense starting it on the West Coast because that's kind of really where it all began.
Yeah. So. I mean, that makes sense for that reason. Also, like, look, if you're talking about the Walt Disney World Resort, well, we're still in the midst of their 50th anniversary celebration for a few more months. So they'll
Right.
probably do something with that after that. And then, even at Disneyland Paris, they're still in their 30th anniversary
yes.
celebration. So they have some things to go through too before they start adding some things.
Sure.
So I'm sure it will be coming to those locations as well, but it's mostly starting at the Disneyland Resort. And they say when the 100th Disney 100 celebration kicks off at Disneyland Resort, here's just some of what you can expect with many more details to come. So beginning on January 27th, the Happiest Place on Earth will receive new platinum-infused decor throughout the resort, new sparkling looks from Mickey, Minnie, and their pals, special food and beverage offerings, merchandise, and more. At Disneyland Park, Walt Disney's original Sleeping Beauty castle will be dressed in style for the anniversary. Celebrating wonder, the castle will be adorned with elegant platinum banners and bunting, accented by a magnificent, boy, what is that word? Cabochon, featuring the 3 good fairies who illuminate it with their shimmering pixie dust. 2 majestic water fountains will grace either side of the moat, while a beautiful wishing star will sparkle from the tower above. The concept artwork of it looks great. I'm looking forward to seeing that castle.
Seems like it's going to be spectacular.
With that full decor once it's done.
Yeah.
Disneyland guest resorts will also, Disneyland guest resorts, hello. Disneyland resort guests will also be dazzled by 2 all-new nighttime spectaculars. World of Color 1 at Disney California Adventure Park will celebrate the storytelling legacy started by Walt Disney a century ago. It will tell a new story of how a single action, like a drop of water, creates a ripple that can grow into a wave of change. It brings some of the most courageous, loving, and inspiring characters to life in new ways. The show will also feature a new original song, Start the Wave.
Nice.
That's cool.
I'm sure that's going to be a tearjerker kind of thing.
I know. World of Color is always so good. Every single
Yes.
version of World of Color I
Right.
love
Yeah.
so much. I'm sure this one will be no different. And at Disneyland Park, Walt's original Magic Kingdom will become a magnificent canvas with wondrous journeys, a new nighttime spectacular that will ignite the wonder in all of us. It will also feature nods to every Walt Disney Animation Studios film to date. How are they going to fit all that in?
Yeah.
Taking us on a journey filled with artistry, music, storytelling, and heart. It will continue to build upon the park's state-of-the-art projection effects, turning Main Street USA, Sleeping Beauty Castle, the facade of It's a Small World, and the rivers of America into an artist's canvas that brings characters to life all around you. On select nights, Wondrous Journeys will go even bigger with the addition of sparkling fireworks in the sky above Disneyland. This spectacular will also feature an incredible new song, It's Wondrous. I think we heard that a little bit of that at the D23 Expo world. On the live stream. That's when we attended at the D23 Expo. So that's cool. I think that's going to be fascinating. And yes, if you don't know about Disneyland, they can't do fireworks every night because, well, there's people very close to them in the neighborhood, but also mostly it's because it's California and it's very fire dangerous there. So if the winds get high, they don't do fireworks, but it's good that they're going to have such a great projection show that you can still feel that nighttime spectacular vibe when you go there on any given night.
Yeah, their projection show is just so immersive there. And, like you mentioned in the piece, and you've talked about it before, you can be at different locations in the park and still get some of that fun of the projections and the music and everything. But if you're on Main Street USA, it is just... I don't know how to describe it, but it's just got such a wonderful feeling that it provides you. It's the sensory provision of good feels.
Yes. They even project them on the Matterhorn a lot.
Yep.
If the facade of It's a Small World is a great place to see the projections as well. So if you're going there, there's lots of different locations. If you're going multiple days, you may want to stake out some different spots to see it because there are great spots throughout Disneyland Park. Also, while Mickey's Toontown is slated to reopen for guests in spring of 2023, the new Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway attraction will open early as they kick off Disney 100's anniversary celebration. Yep, it's opening on January 27th. So
sweet. Yeah.
For those of you on the West Coast who haven't made it out here to the Walt Disney World Resort and checked out Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, you're in for a treat because it is a wonderful, wonderful, fantastic attraction for sure.
Right.
So
I think somebody from this podcast should probably go check it out.
Well, I got to work, so guess we know who we're talking about here. That's good. I'm all for it. Go check it out for sure. Also, in time for spring, the Magic Happens parade will finally be returning to the Disneyland park. Yes, Magic Happens, which had about a week and a half, 2-week run before COVID struck and shut everything down. It's finally going to be back, and everybody, we haven't got to see it yet, but everybody said it's a wonderful parade. So looking forward to that coming back very soon. Moving on to our next story. As of this week, there's another guest favorite experience that has returned to the happiest place on earth. This is actually from Disney Parks' Twitter account. This came out on Wednesday. They said, exciting news. Guided tours are returning to Disneyland starting today. You can make reservations for 2 exciting tour offerings, Walt's Main Street Story and Holiday Time at the Disneyland Resort. Love tours. Yes. Glad they're returning to Disneyland Park as well.
Right. That's such great news. And, people can really have so much fun going on those. I'm happy they've returned.
So here are the details for both tours. I got this from Disneyland's website, looked at their descriptions because I didn't know. I mean, I think I knew a little bit about the holiday tour, but I didn't know what Walt's Main Street Story was about. So here it is. For Walt's Main Street Story, they say, on this intimate walking tour, discover hidden details, little known facts, and endearing trivia about Disneyland Park's magnificent Main Street USA. Listen as your dedicated tour guide regales you with behind-the-scenes stories and enchanting tidbits about this 90-minute experience. Plus, learn about special links to Walt Disney's boyhood town of Marceline, Missouri. It all culminates. Now, you say, okay, it's only a 90-minute tour. It's that's a quickie, whatever. But wait, this is the big thing here. This is something we haven't done yet. We've done a portion of this, but we haven't gone to the extent that this tour finishes off with here. It all culminates with the visits to Walt's apartment high above the Disneyland fire station in Town Square. We've done that.
Yes.
It's spectacular.
Yes.
It's worth it. Where guests will have the chance to enjoy refreshments on the patio.
So sweet. So lucky.
For the first time ever. We got to see that patio.
Right.
We didn't get to go out on that patio. No. We definitely didn't get refreshments on that patio. That's awesome. What a great way to finish that tour off. And it's something that's really exciting that I'd love to do.
Yeah, you'll remember it forever. It's just such a special place. And then to have that way to celebrate it is so cool.
Right. You also receive PhotoPass photos of your party with complimentary digital downloads and a commemorative lanyard. Now, for a 90-minute tour, it is not a cheap tour. It's an expensive tour. It's $160 per guest. So know that going in. Right. But if you want this experience of not only going to Walt's apartment, but getting to go out and have refreshments out on the patio where Walt and his family sat, maybe it's worth it to you. Again, as we were talking about all throughout this episode, value is what it is to different people.
Right.
This might be worth it to you. So, but I wanted you to know right off the bat, it's $160 per guest for 90-minute tour. So be aware of that.
Right. I mean, the one thing about their tours, and we've done several of them, it's hard to really describe how amazing they are. It's not just somebody rattling off a bunch of little trivia, or here's this, here's that. You really get a sense of, what Walt was putting together, how it, some of the struggles, how it came together, some of the highlights of, wow, things you would take for granted that you wouldn't even notice about the park that make it even more special. So, even though it is 90 minutes, it's a different kind of tour than, what you've normally done on, let's say, going to a zoo or something like that. You really get more of an emotional connection.
Yeah. I'm yet to do a one of these tours that has not brought me to tears at some point.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're so heartfelt in the stories that they tell about how these parks were made, and these tour guides, that you can just tell how much they appreciate it and love the story behind it and the history behind these parks. So it's great.
I mean, hopefully this isn't a spoiler for somebody going, and I don't know if they do it every time, but like the time that we went, and there was they're small groups to fit in the apartment. They want to keep it small. But like they said, you're the only people right now in the entire world getting to experience Walt's apartment.
Right. Where he just relaxed with his family while he was there at the park.
Yeah.
So really cool. It is cool stuff for sure. Definitely. I mean, it should be, as a Disney fan, going to Walt's apartment should be on your bucket list,
Yeah.
They don't have the Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour back up yet. So, this is the way to do it right now. We don't know. It's still listed on the website. We don't know if that tour is coming back, but for now, this is a good way to do it. And again, it's a splurge, but again, weigh what's valuable to you and if this is right for you. The other tour is a little bit less expensive, but it's a longer tour. This for the holiday time at the Disneyland Resort guided tour. They say this one is your guide will take you on a 2.5-hour walking tour that will share favorite Disneyland holiday traditions from around the world. You'll also enjoy reserved viewing for a Christmas fantasy parade, delicious holiday treats, a wonderful wintry ride on It's a Small World holiday, and more. Is offered daily during the holidays at the Disneyland Resort. And portions of the tour are refreshed every year, so guests can enjoy their favorite highlights. They can find new things every year they do it. And this one is, it's not cheap either, but it's only $110 per guest for 2.5 hours, plus the refreshments and the attractions and this great spot at the Christmas of Fantasy Parade. So that might be something, if you're really into the holidays, you might want to take advantage of as well. Yeah. So good stuff. Glad tours are returning everywhere. I know the tours have started again at the Walt Disneyland Resort and
Walt Disney World.
What did I say?
Disneyland.
Oh, well, I'm glad they're starting at the Disneyland Resort,
Sorry.
but also that they've started again already at the Walt Disney World Resort for sure. So moving on, finally, speaking of the Walt Disney World Resort, there are some exciting new menu options coming to a guest's favorite resort at the Walt Disney World Resort. This from the Disney Parks blog. They said, I hope you're ready to learn about what's cooking over at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, because this resort has some exciting and delicious updates at 2 of its locations, Territory Lounge and Roaring Fork, which we enjoyed a little bit of just the last time we were there. Right. Both of these spots are getting some new additions to their menus, and trust me, they won't disappoint. We'll kick things off at the Territory Lounge. This is the part that really, I was like, wow, we have to get to the Territory Lounge because there is some cool stuff going on there. If you love popcorn, the Territory Popcorn Sampler features the chef's take on popcorn with spicy caramel, sea salt, truffle, and barbecue flavors. That seems like fun while enjoying a nice cocktail. Also, this is the one that I really thought we need to go to check this out. The artisanal cheese and charcuterie isn't your average charcuterie board. You have to see it to believe it, they say. Chef Brian Knox carefully selected Oregon and Utah cheeses with a focus on smoky notes and even a cheese wrapped in honey and sea salt, accompanied by fresh honeycomb, pickled vegetables, and handcrafted bread. If you go to the Disney Parks blog and find the picture of this, it's got like hanging charcuterie meats and all these cheeses. It is an adorable and looks like a tasty charcuterie board. Disney charcuterie boards, they have a lot of great ones. This one looked like it's going to be one of their best ones and one we're going to want to sample for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad we're going out there again soon.
Yes, very, very soon.
Yes.
There are also some flavorful flatbreads new to the menu. The loaded baked potato flatbread is topped with bacon, potato, chive cream cheese, and creme fraiche, while the salmon run is topped with an in-house cured gravlax salmon with truffle cream cheese, fried capers, onions, black sea salt, and dill. That's calling right out to me.
Yeah, I think we're just going to have to order all of them. One of
menu.
Each.
Yes. For sure. Rounding out the new menu items are the bacon on the wire and the bone and brie. The bacon on the wire takes a new meaning to an elevated dish with black pepper candied bacon cured in smoked paprika and bourbon, cold smoked and roasted perfectly with a bourbon glaze. And it doesn't just have bacon. It features deviled eggs topped with fried shrimp, chipotle beef jerky, and salmon candy with a bourbon drizzle. So if you love your bacon and you love your deviled eggs, well, man, that is good. Also, the bone and brie will leave you wanting to devour every last bite on this foodie adventure with roasted bone marrow, brie baked in a cast iron skillet with Marionberry onion jam. And this shareable dish is a must try, is what they say. It looks very good if you like bone marrow, and I love brie, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So, that sounds good. Finally, the food options that are coming to the Roaring Fork. This is beginning on October 11th, so just a couple days from when we're recording this. They're going to have, you can kickstart your day with the new breakfast options, including the meat and potatoes quiche with broccoli, potatoes, bacon, ham, and Gouda. And the vegetable lovers quiche with peppers, onions, leeks, green peas, potatoes, broccoli, fresh herbs, and cheddar. They are delicious options, they say, to start your morning. Also, they will have a warm, freshly baked cinnamon roll with fresh blueberries and blueberry cream cheese frosting. Or they also offer an extra large, warm grizzly bear claw with mixed nuts and a raisin filling. So if you like the sweet option or if you like the savory option, there's a couple good breakfasts there for you. As the day moves on to lunch and dinner, there are some more items recently added that you need to taste, they say. The Asian-style noodle salad is quite refreshing with tofu, mixed vegetables, crispy rice noodles, and fried wontons. You can even add chicken or shrimp for some added protein. Or this one I liked a lot. The heirloom tomato salad with pickled wild mushrooms, burrata cheese, red pepper pesto, and basil is also tasty, lighter option. That sounds like a really, really good salad.
Yeah.
Love heirloom tomatoes and all those items with it. Sounds really, really good.
Yeah. We just missed them too. I mean, or they didn't start them till.
We're going to be back soon, like you said. So, also, if you like a heartier dish, they've got two more for you. The country style baked meatloaf features buttery green peas, chunky mashed potatoes, and gravy for a classic meal. And they also have the barbecued brisket and burnt ends with potato hash, fiery coleslaw, and cornbread for some comfort barbecue fare. So all those sound really, really good. They have some desserts as well. I like the Humphrey the bear with his beehive cake, which looks really cool as well. And we love Humphrey the bear, so that's fun.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great to see that they're updating that menu. Glad to see they're keeping the Mickey waffles and chicken.
Yeah, the fried chicken and waffles.
Right, on the
from breakfast to dinner.
Yeah,
so whatever you want it for.
Right. Yeah. Glad to see that's still going, but these are some really great and unique sounding, wonderful additions to their menu. Maybe something that's got to be part of Disney Dishes blog.
Maybe so. There may be some things I'll be recreating there because I guess we'll just have to sample them all to figure out what I'm going to do.
That's what I'm saying.
For sure.
Well, we'll have Scott with us and he can help, chow down with us.
We'll find a flatbread for him. It's close enough to a pizza. He'll be okay.
Yeah.
So, very good. Anyway, that's it for the Disney stories of the week. However, we never leave you without giving you some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation. And when we do this, well, we always start with Michelle because she's fantastic, spectacular, all things great. You just heard she does the best research. You know she has the best lists, but she definitely has the very best tips. So let's get to it. Here's Michelle's tip of the week.
Oh, man, you're just so cute. Thank you, sweetie. That's very kind of you. My tip is pretty simple, but it's, I think with all the research that I was doing before for the Disney Cruise Line, I still had a couple other things left to talk about. And this one is when you're going on an excursion, they're especially in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, they're really being much more conscientious of the issues of how sunscreen affects the ecosystem of the ocean. And so they really are being meticulous, much, much more so in not allowing guests to use sunscreen when they're on some excursions. So one of the things that you could do to kind of help in that regards is you can get that UV protection, very thin, breathable, dry weave kind of material that you can wear out there. And then, I've become addicted to that kind of material anyways, because I burn so easily that I use that now just in the summertime. So I'm not like constantly.
She uses that in the house. She's afraid we're going to turn on the light too bright and she's going to burn.
But I mean, and I've used sunscreen too, but sometimes you just don't want to keep applying that and being able to just put that. It's really, like I said, it's very thin, it's breathable. But that way you're prepared for the excursion. You don't have a situation where suddenly you're more at risk for burning because you have the sunscreen that you can't use there.
Very good. Yeah, it is. Michelle is wearing those. You'll see her in the parks often, even on a warm day. You'll see, why are you wearing a long sleeve shirt? Well, that's why.
Yes.
She's trying to wear less sunscreen. It is breathable. It is comfortable. And that's good. Yeah, good stuff. Michelle's tip, always the best tip for sure. My tip this week, and we've talked about, Fort Wilderness oftentimes and going there during the holiday season and how so many of the guests there like to decorate their campsites really, really nicely. Like it is worth it to take the trip out there to go check them out. And you can do that. You can, take a boat from Magic Kingdom Park, or you can, you can take a bus over or
from
whatever
any of the parks,
from any of the parks. Yes. You can Uber over and head out there. There's lots of different ways to get there and check it out. I'm going to tell you about another way that you can go check out a lot of these sites. And now it's going to come with a cost, but it may be interesting to you, and I'll even add more, a festive feeling to your holiday trip out there. And that is to take one of their sleigh rides. They regularly have carriage rides out there. They also, during the holiday season, have sleigh rides that will take you, right into those campgrounds. So you can see some of those decorations. Now, you don't get to see them all, but you can see some of those portions of those decorations right from the sleigh ride. It's a 25-minute tour. Costs $75 total. It doesn't matter. It's not like it's $75 per guest.
Right.
$75 total. A sleigh can fit up to 4 adults or 2 adults and 3 children. So give or take 4 or 5 people. Yeah,
goes with what we were talking
about. There
about.
you go. So it's just a great way to, kind of get more festive and, kind of check out these campsites and see all the wonderful decorations that the guests put out there. Because believe me, it'll make your holidays out there at the park. Yes, the decorations that Disney put out are spectacular, fantastic, wonderful. But seeing some of the stuff that the guests put out, it is really, really fun.
I know. Again, it's one of those things. It sounds hokey. It sounds very minuscule of why would you bother? I can just go drive around the neighborhood, or just being at Disney, I see it. But there is something really special about going through there, and having that ability, like you said, even on the sleigh ride, that you get to explore a little bit more than if you were to try to walk the whole area. So do it.
Like I said, you don't need to pay a cent to go out there and check these out. You can go walk the areas and look at them for yourself. However, if you want to have a little more fun, festive way to do it, that sleigh ride is a possibility.
That's
for
right.
You. So anyway, that's it for this week. Well, next week, I didn't understand this at all. There's something on there about a 99th year anniversary, 100-year kickoff. I don't know what that means, but
it's again one of those 12% of a concept.
Yes. So just wait to see how this develops into next week's episode and see if we actually are anywhere close to that when we actually come out with the show.
Well, going along with the fact that this is pretty, monumentous. I'm having a tough time speaking today. I think it's
welcome to my world.
It's my sinuses are kind of acting up right now too, so I think it's my lack of oxygen to the brain. But, anyways,
I have no excuse.
I was trying to give you an out there, honey. But, anyways, thought that we would do another monthly series till the actual holiday, the actual anniversary date next year. So, thought we'd get a kickoff on that.
Sounds good. So, figure out whatever that means. We will try and figure out whatever that means.
I have some things brewing. So
we'll see what happens this week, but we're looking forward to talking about Disney 100 and no matter whatever goes on. So it'll be a lot of fun anyway. So anyway, we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
if you haven't already done so, we'd love you to sign up for the newsletter.
Please sign up for the newsletter. Just a great way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. Another great way is to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast. By the way, those of you on Twitter, sorry for all the Padres tweets over the last few days. That won't happen all year. I can't say it doesn't happen from time to time, but this is a special time for me. But anyway, we mostly tweet about Disney and fun stuff there. But anyway, you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. If you are on Facebook, come on over and join us for some good, positive Disney energy fun on our Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group.
Right. Like we always say, feel free to tell a friend or a family member about the Facebook group and also about this podcast.
Yeah, it's a great way to get more people involved on both sites, the podcast and the Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group. Also, we are on YouTube. If you want to find us there, just do a quick search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Hit subscribe. You'll know whenever we have a video. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. great, whether you want to just say hello or if you have a question. We also want to put a plug out there. Again, tell a family member or a friend about our podcast. If you get a chance, doing a 5-star review, that would be even more spectacular.
For sure. But we mostly just appreciate that you listen to us, whether it be just this one time, whether it be on a regular basis, it doesn't matter. We're just happy that you are willing to come in and join with us and, share this positive Disney energy that we kind of got going on this show.
Yes.
So anyway, that's it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.